What's up, man? Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Kingdom Builder, Road Tripper. Akeem and Akatim, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, aunties, and uncles, grandmas, and grandpas, man. Shalom, shalom. Peace and blessings to each and every single one of you. Your homes, your dwelling places, right? Your children, loved ones, friends, and pets, man. Them little fur babies, that's right. Welcome back. Welcome back to the road trip. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Abana Yahweh, right? Yahweh. Right, glory to Yahweh Shai, honors to the Ruach HaKodesh, wisdom, that's right. And my love and my respect goes out to each and every single one of y'all kingdom builders. That's right, man. I love you. I love you sincerely and dearly. All right, hallelujah. We're back here. First Maccabees chapter 11. This one's 11. Let's see. Oh boy. That's a long one. All right, well, we're signed up. You guys ready to go? You got a few moments if you want to read along with me. Get your scrolls out or figure out how you want to do this. If not, just sit back and pray for the best that I read this properly. So I'm going to do my best for you. You know I always do. All right? Okay. So, all right. Here we go. First Maccabees chapter 11. Let's begin, family.
All right. Right down there.
Chapter 11, and it reads, And the king of Mizraim gathered together great forces as the sand, which is by the seashore, and many ships, and sought to make himself master of Alexander's kingdom by deceit, and to add it to his own kingdom. And he went out to Syria with words of peace, and they of the cities opened to him, and met him. For King Alexander's commandment was that they should meet him, because he was his father-in-law. Now, as he entered into the cities of Ptolemais, he set his forces for a garrison in each city. But when he came near to Azotus, they showed him the temple of Dagon, burned with fire, and Azotus and the pasture lands thereof pulled down, and the bodies cast abroad, and those who had been burned, whom he burned in the war, for they had made heaps of them in his way. And they told the king what things Jonathan had done, that they might cast blame on him. And the king held his peace. And Jonathan met the king with pomp at Joppa, and they saluted one another, and they slept there. And Jonathan went with the king as far as the river that is called Eleutherus, and returned to Jerusalem. But King Ptolemy became master of the cities upon the east coast, the sea coast, and Seleucia, which is by the sea. And he devised evil plans concerning Alexander. And he sent ambassadors to King Demetrius, saying, Come, let's make a covenant with one another, and I will give you my daughter, whom Alexander has, and you will reign over your father's kingdom. For I have repented, and I gave my daughter to him, for he sought to kill me. And he cast blame on him, because he coveted his kingdom. And taking his daughter from him, he gave her to Demetrius, and was estranged from Alexander, and their enmity was openly seen. And Ptolemy entered into Antioch, and put on himself the diadem of Asia, and he put 2 diadems upon his head, the diadem of Mizraim, and that of Asia. But King Alexander was in Sicilia at the season, because they of those parts were in revolt. There's some war going on. Verse 15. And Alexander heard of it, and he came against him in war. And Ptolemy led out his army, and met him with a strong force, and put him into flight. And Alexander fled into Arabia, that he might be sheltered there. But King Ptolemy was exalted, and Zabdiel the Arabian took off Alexander's head, and sent it to Ptolemy. And King Ptolemy died the 3rd day after, and those who were in his strongholds were slain by those who were in the strongholds. And Demetrius reigned in the 167th year. In those days Jonathan gathered together them in Judea to take the citadel that was at Jerusalem, and he made many engines of war against it. And certain that hated their own nation, men that transgressed the law, went to the king, and reported to him that Jonathan was besieging the citadel. And he heard and was angered. But when he heard it, he sent out immediately, and came to Ptolemais, and wrote to Jonathan, that he should not besiege it, and that he should meet him and speak with him at Ptolemais with all speed, means on the double, like hurry up. But when Jonathan heard this, he commanded to besiege it still, and he chose certain of the elders of Yasharel and of the priests, and put himself in peril. And taking silver and gold and raiment and various presents besides, went to Ptolemais, to the king, and he found favor in his sight. And certain lawless men of those who were of the nation made complaints against him. And the king did to him even as his predecessors had done to him, and exalted him in the sight of all his friends, and confirmed to him the high priesthood and all the other honors that he had before, and gave him preeminence among his chief friends. And Jonathan requested of the king that he would make Judea free from tribute, and the 3 provinces and the country of Samaria, and promised him 300 talents. And the king consented, and wrote letters to Jonathan concerning all these things after this manner. King Demetrius to his brother Jonathan, and to the nation of the Yahudim, greeting. The copy of the letter which we wrote to Lasthenes, our kinsman, concerning you, we have written also to you, that you may see it. King Demetrius to Lasthenes, his father, greeting. We have determined to do good to the nation of the Yahudim, who are our friends, and observe what is just towards us, because of their good will towards us. We have confirmed, therefore, to them the borders of Judea, and also the 3 governments of Apharemia and Lydda, and Ramathaim. These were added to Judea from the country of Samaria. And all these things, right, appertaining to them, for all such as to sacrifice in Jerusalem instead of the king's dues, which the king received of them yearly previously from the produce of the earth and the fruits of trees. As for the other things that pertain to us from now on the tenths and the tolls that pertain to us, and the salt pits, and the crowns that pertain to us, all these we will bestow upon them, and not one of these things will be annulled from this time out and forever. Now therefore be careful to make a copy of these things, and let it be given to Jonathan, and let it be set up in a Kodesh mount, in a meet and conspicuous place. And King Demetrius saw that the land was quiet before him, and that no resistance was made to him. And he sent away all his forces, each man to his own place, except the foreign forces, which he had raised from the isles of the Gentiles. And all the forces of his fathers hated him. Now, Tryphon was of those who previously had been of Alexander's part, and he saw that all the forces murmured against Demetrius, and he went to Amilku, the Arabian, who was nourishing up Antiochus, the young child of Alexander, and pressed sore upon him that he should deliver him to him, and that he might reign in his father's stead, and that he told him all that Demetrius had done, and the hatred with which his forces hated him. And he dwelt there many days. And Jonathan sent to King Demetrius that he should cast out of Jerusalem them of the citadel and those who were in the strongholds, for they fought against Yasharel continually. And Demetrius sent to Jonathan, saying, I will not only do this for you and your nation, but I will greatly honor you and your nation, if I find fair occasion. Now therefore you will do well if you send me men who will fight for me, for all my forces are revolted. And Jonathan sent him 3,000 valiant men to Antioch, and they came to the king, and the king was glad at their coming. And they of the city gathered themselves together into the midst of the city, to the number of 120,000 men. And they were inclined to kill the king. And the king fled into the court of the palace. And they of the city seized the passages of the city, and began to fight. And the king called the Yahudim to help him. And they were gathered together to him all at once, and they dispersed themselves in the city, and killed that day to the number of 100,000. Oh my goodness. So you're talking about 3,000 men killed 100,000? Come on, bruh. That's the Yahudim, man. You so said. That was back up, bro. All right, 48. Let's continue, man. Come on. And they set the city on fire, and got many spoils that day, and saved the king. And they of the city saw that the Yahudim had made themselves masters of the city. Come on, bro. Come on. Made themselves masters of the city as they would, and they waxed faint in their hearts. And they cried out to the king with supplication, saying, Give us your right hand, and let the Yahudim cease from fighting against us in the city. And they cast away their arms and made peace. And the Yahudim were glorified in the sight of the king and before all that were in his kingdom. And they returned to Jerusalem having many spoils. And the king Demetrius sat on the throne in his kingdom, and the land was quiet before them. And he lied, he lied in all that he spoke, and estranged himself from Jonathan, and recompensed him not according to the benefits with which he had recompensed him, and afflicted him exceedingly. Now, after this, Typhon returned with him the young child Antiochus, and he reigned and put on a diadem. And there were gathered to him all the forces which Demetrius had sent away with disgrace, and they fought against him, and he fled and was put to the rout. And Typhon took the elephants and became master of Antioch. And the young Antiochus wrote to Jonathan, saying, I confirm to you the high priesthood, and appoint you over the 4 governments, and to be one of the king's friends. And he sent to him golden vessels and furniture for the table, and gave him leave to drink in golden vessels, and to be clothed in purple, and to have golden buckle. And his brother Simon he made captain from the ladder of Tyre to the borders of Mizraim, Egypt, right? And Jonathan went out and took his journey beyond the river and through the cities, and all the forces of Syria gathered themselves to him for to be his allies. And he came to Ascalon, and they of the city met him honorably, and he departed from there to Gaza, and they of Gaza shut him out. And he laid siege on it, and burned the pasture lands thereof with fire, and plundered them. And they of Gaza made request to Jonathan, and he gave them his right hand, and took the sons of their princes for hostages, and sent them away. Man, Jonathan was just as ruthless as Maccabees, bro, as Judas, bro. These brothers were raw. Oh man, and sent them away to Jerusalem, and he passed through the country as far as Damascus. And Jonathan heard that Demetrius's princes were come to Kadesh, which is in Galilee, with a great army, proposing to remove him from his office. 64 to the door. And he went to meet them, but Simon his brother had left in the country. And Simon encamped against Bethsura, and fought against it many days, and shut it up, and made request to him that he would give them his right hand. And he gave it to them. And he put them out from there, and took possession of the city, and set a garrison over it. And Jonathan and his army encamped at the water of Gennesareth. And early in the morning they got them to the plain of Hazor. And behold, an army of strangers met him in the plain, and they laid an ambush for him in the mountains, but themselves met him face to face. But those who lay in ambush rose out of their places, and joined battle. And all those who were of Jonathan's side fled. Not one of them was left except Mattathias, his son, the son of Absalom, and Judas, the son of Chalphi, right? Captains of the forces. And Jonathan tore his clothes, and put earth upon his head, and prayed. And he turned again to them in battle, and put them to the rout, and they fled. And they of his side that fled saw it, and returned to him, and pursued with him to Kadesh. See, man, that's cowardice, man, to their camp. And they encamped there. See, okay, all right, let's finish this up. I'm gonna talk about that. And there fell of the strangers on that day about 3,000 men, and Jonathan returned to Jerusalem. Okay, so, all right, so you get ambushed, right? That's the end of chapter 11, by the way. So you get ambushed, right? And you run off, and you leave your captain, like you leave your champion, right? You run away, and then your champion decides he's gonna go to fight even without you, with or without you. He's gonna go into war, and then you look back down in the valley, and you see him winning without your help. Then you turn around, and then you flee, and then you go back. You know what I'm saying? Now you want to give help because you see your side is winning, but you ran and you left him sitting there for death. That's a chump move, man. That's a chump move, man. But see how tough Jonathan was, though? He tore his clothes, ripped his clothes, put dirt on his head, and prayed to the Most High, Yahweh. And then he got up, and then he started winning the battle, even without his men. You know what I'm saying? Slaying, just like his brother Judas Maccabees would have did. You know what I'm saying? That is a tough group of brothers, man. I love this book. It's tough, man. That is tough. And that's Israel, man. That's Yasharel, bro. You know what I'm saying? With or without, against all odds, we're going in. We're going in. You know what I'm saying? That's the spirit of Yasharel. Right there. Right there. Verse 72. Right. See, I'm going to read that one more time from 71 down. 71, and it says, and Jonathan tore his clothes and put earth upon his head and prayed. And he turned again to them in the battle and put them to the rout. And they fled. And they of his side saw that. And they of his side that fled saw it and returned to him and pursued with him to Kadesh to their camp. And they encamped there. And there fell of the strangers on that day about 3,000 men. And Jonathan returned to Jerusalem. He killed 3,000 with just a few men just by himself, man. He probably had less than 1,000 men with him. You know what I'm saying? Those kind of crazy odds. Just like when the Yahudim went to help Alexander in the city. What? He sent 3,000 Yahudim. That was it. He sent 3,000 warrior Yahudis. Right? And they killed 120,000 men that day in the city and set the place on fire and saved the king's life. After the king's army revolted and they ran off. So 3,000 men had to come in there and basically take siege of the entire city. And then once they saved the king, they went back home. But they took a bunch of gold with them. They took a bunch of spoils, it said. They took a bunch of spoils. But they were revered as heroes, man. I mean, think about it. 3,000 versus 120,000. You know what I mean? That's like one person killing 40 people. Golly, man. All right. Anyway, that's the end of chapter 11. I'll see you guys on the next one, chapter 12. Hallelujah, right? That's right. Shalom, shalom. Peace and blessings to each and every single one of y'all. I love y'all, kingdom builders. I do. Road trippers. See you soon. All praises to the Most High. Yeah, I love you.